Hi, and welcome to Let's Talk About Real Estate podcast, the podcast for real estate agents absolutely everywhere. I'm Lisa B, and during this podcast, we're going to be talking about everything real estate. What's working, what's not working, AI, automation, technology, EXP Realty, and absolutely everything to do with real estate. I'll have guest speakers as well, where we'll answer your questions from the Facebook group, Let's Talk About Real Estate. So if you haven't joined the Facebook group, make sure you do that now, and we'd be happy to help answering any question. And again, welcome to the show. All right, welcome to Let's Talk About Real Estate, and thank you so much, Marguerite Crespillo, for joining me today all the way from America. It's so great to have you with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I'm really excited about talking to you. We met through EXP, obviously, and we're both now getting our podcast streamed through, the new channels over there, and just so excited to be part of that American, connection as well. The connections that we've made through EXP have just been amazing, and you're just one more that that I'm sort of very grateful for. But today, what I wanted to talk to you about, and your tagline I absolutely love, is you help realtors or real estate agents here build a business around their life instead of a life around their business, which
Exactly.
I love, because it's like when you have a child, you say, oh, the child will work around me and I'll take the child everywhere with me. And we know that doesn't happen. It's sort of you morph into the child and then everything becomes, about them. And same with real estate. It can become very consuming. So what made you decide to focus on that, and how's it going? Are you finding that agents are making a change?
Well, I would love to say they are, but I don't think so. This industry has an addictive kind of quality to it that makes it a challenge. So I've been in real estate for 31 years. I actually started in real estate when I was pregnant with my second son. I had a 5-year-old at the time, and I was pregnant with my second son. And then I immediately got pregnant with my third son. So I had 3 kids under the age of 6 years old when I started in real estate. And I'm not going to lie, it was pretty crazy. It was a challenge to try to take care of kids, have a life and sell real estate. And I became part of a coaching group called By Referral Only with Joe Stump back in the day. And he talked a lot about how to really build a business by referral. And when your business is really built in a relationship status where your clients are people that know you, like you, trust you, that you've met through somebody, people are much more accepting of schedules and times. And I learned early on to change my voicemail to where my voicemail simply says, "This is Marguerite Crespillo. My hours are, I'm available Monday through Fridays. I work evenings and Saturdays by appointment, and I take Sundays off to be with my family." And it's been that way now for 25 years. My voicemail has said that. And the funny thing is the people who are most disrespectful of my time are actually other real estate agents. Like, I'll get messages from clients and consumers, and they'll say, "Hey, I heard your voicemail. You don't work on Sunday. No problem. Give me a call tomorrow when you get in." Or, "Hey, I know it's after hours. Please give me a call tomorrow and we can chat. Nothing important." And those people are respectful of me and my time. But I had a friend too named Kathy Courtney who years ago said, "No real estate orphans." Because what happens is our lives get so busy with real estate that our family and our children and the people that we care about become second. They're in second place always. And I got a voicemail from my son, and this was a big, big game changer. He was about 4 years old.
Mm.
And I still have the voicemail that says, "Mom, we're supposed to go to the movies at 4 o'clock today. We're going to go see Shark Tales, Mom. And Mom, it's past 4 o'clock, so it doesn't look like you're going to make it, but that's okay, Mom. I love you, but let's go to the movies soon." I cried my eyes out. I still cry
Oh,
thinking about it.
I would too.
And it's sad that we do that in this industry. And I wish I could say more agents are trying to change it, and some are. I do see, stronger team leaders, and there's more moms and things like that that are working towards having that life, but we just seem to think that our clients aren't going to care and they're going to move on to another agent, and that's not true if you genuinely build your business right.
But I think what you're doing is setting boundaries. Like it's like making calls instead of taking calls. Like I had that as a rule when I was listing and selling. I would only make a call. Like I would take, the voicemail would go to the voicemail, text would come to text, and then I would schedule when I called them back. And that just gave me, it was a boundary. It was kind of a bit of, I felt like I was in control of some things, but I think we've got to set boundaries. And like you said, it ends up in real estate that our career's number one, all of our vendors, our owners are number one, our buyers are number one, our families are number two, three, then it's the dog, then it's, everybody else, and then it's us about number 10.
Hmm.
It's not good for anything.
No.
We've got to try and put ourselves first, and that's by setting boundaries. And I'm really interested to hear what you're working on now. But at the moment, I've been to things like sound healings. I've been to acupuncture. I'm going to a cacao ceremony on Sunday. Yeah, I'm kind of focused. Like my son's 17 now, and it's like, I've put my son and everybody else first, and now I'm sort of going, you know what? I actually want to put me first up the top, and in turn, then I'm looking after everybody else as well, which I haven't been good at. So
Yeah.
how have you done that? Like, have you sort of thought about, yeah, like sort of moving forward, how you can do that even more?
Well, my kids are all grown now, thankfully. My youngest son is 28 years old. Both my children were raised in real estate.
Mm,
And just to help with the guilt for all of the mamas out there, I've had conversations with my boys and asked them what it was like to grow up with a real estate mom. And they're like, well, we don't know any different, mom. And the truth is that I had a much more flexible schedule than I would if I worked a 9 to 5 job in, say, your state or government offices or something like that. I was able to work from the sidelines of baseball games and,
yeah.
soccer matches and things like that. That is the flexibility that we have in real estate. So I do feel very blessed that this industry gave me that freedom to work around my kids' schedule in so many ways. But now that my kids are grown, I have found myself sometimes slipping back into working that 24/7 because I don't have anybody to answer to. So I might as well, I'm gonna have my husband but is fine. So I do really try to take time for myself. I still take Sundays off. Sundays is my day to bake and cook. I love to be in my kitchen. Saturdays, I don't very often work a Saturday. I mean, I recently did because I had a relocation client come into town. But for the most part, to be honest with you, I don't work weekends hardly ever.
Mm.
I don't work evenings hardly ever. And most clients at this point in my career, again, being 30 years, most of my clients are all referred or repeat clients. They're super respectful of my time and schedule because I've set those boundaries since early on.
Mm.
And I think as agents, we have this like fear that if I don't return their call right away, they're going to go use somebody else. And that's a legitimate fear, and I understand that. But again, when you build the relationship right from the beginning and you have those conversations with your clients up front and you tell them what your hours are and what your schedule is, they're almost always respectful of that. And if they're not, frankly, I don't really want to work with them.
No, I agree. I agree. That's awesome. Okay, so what are you working on now? I've noticed you are so much more organized than me. Just, with sort of your organization of your I went into your podcast and your back end, and all that sort of thing, which I'm very jealous of, and I've got to work on mine. But I'm curious what you're working on now in your business.
Well, it certainly didn't happen overnight, right? I mean, systems are something that you develop over time. And many times those systems are developed because what's currently working for you isn't working, right?
Yeah.
And so you realize, oh, well, it would be so much simpler if I had a system. And I'll be honest, I'm not that smart in my opinion. And I need a structure and a system to follow so that things happen consistently the same way every time. Like even with my podcast, I have it set up to where it happens the same way every time. That way I don't have to think about it,
Yeah.
right? Like I have a good friend of mine, my very best friend Brian, and he's always worked out. He's an exercise, guru and a buff.
Hmm.
And I said to him, I go, how do you just stay consistent with your exercise program? And he said, well, I made a decision 30 some odd years ago that I would exercise every day. And I never have to make that decision again because I already made that decision.
Hmm.
And I thought about that. I'm like, okay, well, that's really how systems work. When you put a system in place,
Hmm.
then you create the system so that it happens the same way every time. And so what I'm working on now is I've developed, it's going to be launching here in January. I have what's called Masterclass Real Estate Academy, and
Mhm.
it is designed to help you build and develop systems. It's designed, it's a coaching and training program to help you learn how to design and develop those systems and then put them in place so that they happen consistently.
Mhm.
But a big part of that is getting help, is having an assistant, even if it's part-time, even if it's 10 hours a week or something where you have somebody to help you follow that system. Because truth be told, my personality type is I'm ADD, like most agents are out there, right? I'm thinking of new stuff all the time.
Yeah.
And so when you have the right people in place, their job is to follow the system. Like I
Yes.
make the joke all the time, I'm great at creating the system, I'm not so great at following it,
Yeah.
right? But I have people in place and that's their job to follow the system. And when you make it, for lack of a better word, you dumb it down to the very basic
Mm.
process,
Yeah.
then anybody can follow it. Like there's a great book out there that I read years ago called The E-Myth, The Entrepreneurial Myth by Dr. Michael Gerber, one of my favorite books of all time. And he talks about how to McDonaldize your business.
Yeah.
Meaning, if you look at McDonald's, and McDonald's are all over the world, right? Burgers. You go into any McDonald's anywhere in the world, and they make the fries the same way. They make the Big Mac the same way. They literally have pictures on the wall of the process on how to make a Big Mac. It's made the same way no matter where you go in the world.
Mm.
Well, that's really how we need to build and develop our business. I mean, real estate is real estate, frankly. It's
Yeah.
not that different at about anywhere you go. You find a house, you write a contract, you have an agreement, you
Mm.
follow whatever your process is, whether that's attorneys, whether that's escrow title, however that is.
Yeah.
But your process in your market, in your area is pretty much the same every time,
Yes.
right? So why do we not have a system that we follow to make sure? And we explain that to the client up front, right? Explain to the client, this is how the process works.
Yeah.
And they will follow what you do.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But we seem to think that it's not the same every time, but it is.
Mm.
Your contracts are the same. Your process is the same. Your timeline is the same. Are you going to do inspections? Are you not going to do inspections, right? Like we recently created a form that goes out to the if we're representing the buyer, it goes out to the seller to say things like, "Hey, where's the mailbox? What number is the mailbox? What internet do you use? Who are the utility companies? What day is garbage day?" Right?
Yeah.
And that came as a result of buyers calling us all the time. Hey, I don't know which mailbox is mine, right? I don't know what day is garbage day. So you talked about incoming and outgoing phone calls. Our goal is every incoming call should only be a referral, right? Or somebody telling us how great we are.
Mhm.
If it's a question, then we need to put a system in place so that those questions are answered for them and they're not having to completely ask us a million times what's going on with this.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
Are we 100% perfect at it? Heck no. But
Mm.
it's something that every time there's a challenge, every time there's a problem, every time there's a concern or a question, to me, that's a red flag to create a system around it.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. Yeah, and nowadays with a lot more automation, like I've got Go High Level. I'm not sure what program you use, like Go High Level. There's so many different automations that you can, send out automatically that they can fill in this, that they can do this, that it takes them there. You're actually getting me inspired again to have a look at my systems too. Like that book, I loved the E-Myth. That was a book that I just absolutely,
I
you know,
read it probably at least once a year, every
yeah,
year. Yeah.
I'll pull it out again. I haven't read it for some time, but yeah, it is all about it's all about whatever. Like if your vendors are ringing you asking what's going on, you're obviously not giving them the feedback after inspections and things like that. So how do you automate that, or how do you make sure that people are working the system that they're calling their vendors after the inspections and things like that? Yeah, but that's amazing. Okay, so if you spoke about a referral business, so what's the best way? Because a lot of people that watch my podcast are new in real estate too. So how would you say to somebody working in real estate just starting, how do they start to build that referral network when they haven't made any sales yet? What would you say to them?
Well, Well, I'll tell you basically what I did when I first started in real estate. Everyone told me, "Oh, you have to like cold call, you have to door knock, you have to call expireds." I went to a cold calling class. I was there for about a half hour. They handed us a phone book and said, "Here's the script. Call the people in the phone book." I'm like, "Are you kidding me right now?" They're like, "No, that's how it works." I wanted to throw up, literally. I'm like, "This is not going to work for me." And I was sitting next to this guy, Michael, I'll never forget. And he's like, "I can't do this. Can you?" I said, "No." He goes, "Well, let's leave." So we left. We went down the street to the local bar to have a happy hour, right? It was at in the afternoon. And sitting there talking to people, we both walked out with a client. I'm
How
like,
good.
okay, so I just need to get in front of more people,
Yeah.
right? And I need to have conversations with them. That year, I ended up having a Christmas party, family and friends. I wanted an excuse to get all dressed up at the holidays. We had about 40 people come, and from that event alone, I got 4 referrals.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, well, I'm not going to cold call. I'm going to have parties and events, right? And I started doing all kinds of client events. My kids were young. I did birthday parties and summer carnivals, and I invited clients and I invited friends. I had I would get sponsors for these things, and we just did a pie party in November, and I've just always built my business by relationships, by getting out there and meeting people. Like agents seem to think there's like going to be an easy button and they just press this easy button and everyone's going to call them and want to use them. No, you have to build and develop those relationships and then you have to take extraordinary care of them throughout the process. When you do that, the odds are very high that you're going to get repeat and referral business over and over again.
I think, I've been in real estate 30 years as well. And I think we've been through the time where there wasn't the what agents think now is the magic pill of the internet. It's like you see on all the groups, like how am I going to get listings? And it's like, and people are spending $2,000 a month on lead generation and
It's
all that stuff.
insane.
They could put that $2,000, like you said, into running events. They could do all those things instead of that. And even if they got the best lead in the world, they're probably not going to be able to convert it anyway because they're new. They've got to learn to talk to people and learn to build relationships and learn to get people to trust them. Um,
Well,
it's just the magic pill's not there.
here's the conversion rate. Okay. So the conversion rate on internet leads and advertising is 100 or more leads to one piece of closed business. And it's probably worse than that, to be honest with you. I'd say it's probably closer to 500.
Yeah.
Business connections, meaning your heat and air guy, your carpet cleaner, your lender, your this and that, all of those, the conversion rate is 10 to 1.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you're involved in like a business networking group, we call them LaTip or BNI or things like that here in the United States, the odds are high that every 10 referrals you get, you're going to close one piece of business.
Yeah.
Your database, people that know you, like you, and trust you, your family and friends, the conversion rate is 3 to 1.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
where would you prefer to get your business?
Yeah. See, that's where America, your chat groups are very much about your sphere of influence, which it's not really spoken about here. I'm trying to get agents to do that as well, but it really is, the people that know you already and you've already got that relationship with. Why wouldn't you try and nurture that? Like you've done.
Well, I think that people have this fear with family and friends. And I'll be honest with you, the truth is, most people treat their family and friends, not like a client.
Yeah.
Okay. So, for example, I'll tell you, I'll give you a story. My brother, years ago, we're talking 25 years ago, him and his wife wanted to buy a house. My brother was in the mortgage business. And I'm like, hey, come meet with me at my office so I can go over the process. He goes, oh, I know that part of the business. Don't worry about it. I go, no, no, no. Bring your wife. Let's sit down and go over the process. Because if I didn't, here's what happens. Do you think that he's going to convey all the information to her? No.
Of course not. Yeah.
And she's going to feel overwhelmed. She's going to feel slighted. She's going to feel like she doesn't know what's going on. And she's going to get upset, frustrated, and angry at me.
Yes. Yes.
So, are you treating your clients your family and friends like clients? Are you meeting with them up front? Are you being professional with them? Or are you showing up, in your pajamas or your sweats and acting like they're just nobodies? You have to treat your family and friends just like a client.
Exactly.
And when you do that, they will treat you like the professional that you are.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
if you're not showing up like a professional, and that also applies to social media. I don't talk about politics, about religion, or COVID on social media because those are always a fight,
Yes.
right? And your family and friends are watching you on social media. So
Mhm.
when you're saying stupid stuff online, or you're getting in fights, or you're complaining about your clients online, and you're talking about, oh, I had the worst buyer today, or the seller was terrible, or this stressed me out, they see that and they think, you're going to talk about me that way? No, I'm not doing it. Right?
Exactly.
So, how are you showing up to your family and friends? Are you showing up just as if they're a $5 million sale?
Mm.
Because would you treat a client that is buying a three or five or whatever the high number is in your market, would you treat your client the way that you're treating your family and friends? I don't think so. How
Yeah.
are you going to show up? Your family and friend deserve that more than anybody.
Yeah, exactly right. That's such a good point. A lot of real estate agents will be like, I'm gutted. My brother listed with somebody else, or my family member listed with somebody else. And it was probably exactly like you said. They were probably saying, it's okay, I'll look after you, not saying, okay, let's sit down and I'll actually show you what I do. For when they're getting a presentation by somebody else, you've got an equal chance, because you wouldn't blame them for going somewhere else if they don't know what you do. If you're just, oh, don't worry, I'll
Well,
take care of you. How do they know?
100%. And are you treating them with confidentiality, right? Like
Yeah,
many times family member doesn't want their family to know what they do or don't have in the bank,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And because they don't want you to be going and spreading that, like, are you gossiping about your family with your family?
yes,
Then why would they want to use you? You have to think about all of that. If you don't want your family and friends to do business with you, that's fine too. But
yeah,
why wouldn't you? I
yeah.
mean, most of my clients become family and friends,
Yeah.
right? Even if they're not in the beginning.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so if you could do it all again now, like just say you were starting real estate now and you've got your 30 years experience, right? So you don't have children, small children, whatever. How would you do it differently now with all that 30 years experience that you've got? Using technology, using everything that you've got. What would you do to bring that all together to make it to get the results quicker, better, easier, more balance?
Well, a couple things. I'm not sure that I would change a whole lot, to be honest with you, because I think that I've done okay with the way that I've done things. I
Mhm.
think I would definitely save a lot more money.
Yeah.
I wouldn't spend as much. I
Yeah.
feel like I wasted a lot of money on things that I didn't need to waste money on. I
Yeah.
spent way more money on advertising than I ever should have, in marketing and things like that. I would focus so much more on the client experience, which, again, I think I did a relatively good job, but I think I definitely could have done a lot better.
Yeah.
I would have tracked better my referrals, which I've done with some. I've got some great referral trees that make a lot of sense, but I haven't tracked it as best as I could. But I will tell you that the most valuable thing you own is your database. And 90% of agents, this is insanity to me, don't even have a database, number one,
Mhm.
nor are they taking care of it. And
Mhm.
that is crazy to me. And I'll tell you why, because here's a perfect story. If you're not tracking your database, here's why you should. I have a client named Linda who I sold a $50,000 HUD home, or bank foreclosure, to in 1997. Okay. That's one person I've tracked in my database. And here's why it's so valuable. She has bought and sold 8 homes through me in the last 26 years. Okay. Even better than that, she has referred people who've referred people who've referred people who've referred people, 8 levels deep, over 70 referrals, over $400,000 in commissions in those 26, 27 years,
Yeah. Wow.
from one person who bought a $50,000 HUD home.
Yeah.
To answer your question shortly, I wish I had tracked every single client that way. I did not. And I wish I had tracked them every way, because that single woman has been so valuable to me all these years. And I
Mhm.
have lots more that are just like it. I just didn't track it as well.
Mhm.
But it's crazy to me that we're not tracking that and not taking care of it. In fact, there are practically no CRMs that even track your referrals like that. They'll track agent to agent referrals, but they don't track your client referrals. The one I use is called All Clients. I mean, it's got a referral tree program in it, but Sadly, and I don't get paid anything if you guys use that, it's not an affiliate program.
Mm.
The thing is sadly, people don't track those referrals. They don't track that referral. Oh, Sally used me, but Sally referred her cousin Billy, and Billy referred his Aunt Tina, and Aunt Tina referred Joe and Sherry. Like, you don't realize how valuable that one person is to your database. And that to me, I wish I'd have done a better job at tracking that.
But you know what? If you've kept in touch with your database, you've got those referrals, whereas most agents don't keep in touch with their database. So they probably haven't even got the referrals to track, so
Exactly.
it's been great that you've had that you've seen the fruits of taking care of somebody and keeping in contact with them. And, yes, you've got to have the database, you've got to update it, you've got to nurture those people. Agents are spending, like I said, 2 grand a month to make the phone ring, plus a lot more with the portals and everything else. And then not taking
Crazy.
those people and then spending another 2 grand, 3 grand, whatever a month to make the phone ring again. Why not just nurture the people that you've already got? So
Exactly.
that's a big point is your database, having a balance in real estate. Sorry, having a balance in life, and real estate. That's another big point as well. So if I was going to start you in real estate, what would you do the first 30 days? Because as I said, a lot of people are sort of new listening to this. For the first 30 days, what would you do?
In the first 30 days, number one is I would get my database set up, would be the first thing I would do. I would put every single person that I've ever met that I know in my database, right? And honestly, I would do open houses till the cows came home, which is what I did. I did open houses because those open houses require you to talk to people and meet them and get to know them and learn to follow up with them, right? I think that's the biggest fear many people have is they're afraid to talk to people. They don't want to sound stupid. But I always say it like this. I can describe all day long what it's like to ride a bicycle, right? Everybody has seen or knows of a bicycle. I can teach you how to take it apart and put it back together. I can teach you how to maintain it. I can show you videos after videos after videos after videos of how to ride a bike. But at some point, you got to get on the bicycle.
Yeah, exactly.
And when you get on that bicycle, one of two things is going to happen. You're either going to crash or you're going to fly, right? And the reality is you have to get out there and talk to people. You can prepare and practice and prepare and practice, but if you don't get in front of people, if you don't have the conversations, if you don't continue to screw up, then you're never going to succeed. I know for a fact I've failed far more than I've succeeded.
Hmm.
But what that tells me is that I kept trying. I kept doing it over and over again. I kept making the mistakes and finding a way to fix it. I have shirts that I had made that say you get paid in direct proportion to your ability to figure stuff out.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
how hard are you working to figure it out? Or are
Hmm.
you sitting around waiting for somebody to come in and hand it to you? Well, last I checked, nobody's handed me a check for anything
Yeah.
that I didn't work for. So you have to get out there and keep trying, keep trying, keep trying. You'll make it. Even great agents do well in any market.
Mhm.
Okay. So we've been in a tough market this last year. There are agents who are thriving in this kind of market because they keep doing the work. They keep trying, experimenting, figure this out. That didn't work. I'll try this. Let's go do that. Let me figure this out. Just keep trying.
That's right. Everything's figure outable, whatever that word.
Just like Marie Forleo. Yep. She says everything is figure outable.
Exactly. Okay, so now we're both part of EXP, which I absolutely love. And as I said, I love the connections that I've made through EXP. So tell me some amazing examples of people that have changed their life in EXP in America. Like I know plenty in Australia, but how have people changed their lives and absolutely flying now?
Well, I will tell you, I think it has changed my life. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I owned a brokerage with 120 agents for 22 years.
Mm,
And at the end of the day, I didn't really have anything because once I stepped out of the equation, that company was not thriving. I was the main breadwinner.
mm,
And when we made the decision to join EXP in 2016, I mean, there were only 1,400 agents in the whole company. We were not international. We were just barely, I think we were in 14 states or something like that.
mm,
And people thought we were crazy. They're like, what are you doing? What are you thinking? Right? And the truth is, this has changed my life in so many ways. Not only has revenue share impacted my life in a big way, the stock has changed my life. I'll tell you when it became the most clear was in 2020 during COVID, right? We were all locked down. And in that same year, in May of 2020, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. Now, by most standards, I didn't know what I was going to do. I was like, how am I going to take care of my family? I'm the main breadwinner for my family. What's going to happen? And the beauty was I had revenue share coming in, which meant that I could focus on my health instead of focusing on being out there to produce. And nothing like that had ever been created before until EXP. Of course, now there are lots of copycats that are trying to do the same thing and trying to do it in a different way. But the truth is, this company has been changing lives since 2009.
Mm.
And with Glenn's mission to make it agent centric and make it something that is focused on what is best for the agents has been a game changer. I cannot imagine being anywhere else. And the fact that we get to be compensated for contributing to the growth of this company, that our focus is on collaborating together so that we can all rise, right? I never saw anything like that in my 30 years in business until EXP came along. And it has definitely changed my life. And I know there's hundreds, if not thousands, of other agents here at the company whose lives have been changed. But it has changed my life in so many ways and has allowed me to create and build a legacy that I can leave to my children. And I did not have that, even having my own brokerage. That was not an option.
Mm. I mean, I had my own brokerage as well, and it's just like, the liability, the stress, the worry, the everything, and it takes it all away, doesn't it? It's sort of we
Mhm.
get to, I think that helps agents with life balance as well, because as you said, you run your own hours, you do your own things. There's different ways that you can earn income, build assets. I just love, I love luxury. I love all of those things that you can focus on. And, for me, like you said, ADHD or whatever, I feel like I am that, parts of my life that as well. But everything can be channeled into real estate. There's like, I can focus on luxury, I can focus on agent attraction, I can focus on, whatever it is within the company. I don't get bored. There's so many challenges, whether it's in a demographic location, a state, a country, a global challenge. It's there for me. It's just been the best thing ever. Okay.
And I would agree.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your time today. That was amazing. And I'll put all of your links as well underneath the video, and it'll go onto Spotify and, everywhere, YouTube, everywhere. We'll
Awesome.
have to do it again soon. That was amazing.
I
Thank you.
would love to.
Thank you so much, Margaret.
Thank you. It was such an honor to spend some time with you again.
You too. Thank you. Thank you for listening to Let's Talk About Real Estate podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show. If you have a question about real estate, then please join the group on Facebook, also called Let's Talk About Real Estate. For those of you who are interested in EXP, please join us at 10 a.m. Brisbane time every Wednesday morning for EXP Explained. Thank you again for joining us, and don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, and see you next week.